Welcome to Jesus Changes Everything, a daily podcast dedicated to providing a fresh look at the ancient and glorious truth that Jesus not only reigns, but is busy about the business of bringing all things under subjection, that celebrates the wonder and the glory that he has been given all authority in heaven and on earth.
This is, once again, one of those difficult forever friend segments where my relationship with this friend is marked more by a particularly sad event and a hardship than it is everything that preceded that. And for that reason, once again, I have determined not to share this friend's name. This particular friend, however, is one that I continue to give thanks for. He, like a lot of our friends tend to be, he came into my life really through two different channels. One, he was a friend of a friend. And that's sort of how I got involved in his life. Secondly, he was a work friend. I remember the first time that I saw him. It was sometime in mid to late May, and it was in Central Florida. I was working at Ligonier Ministries, and round about 4:30 on a Friday, this young couple shows up at the Ligonier offices. And they explain to whomever they were speaking to on the staff there that they had just graduated a day or two prior from a well-known evangelical college in the Midwest. And immediately after graduation, they had gotten married, and their honeymoon consisted of their driving down to Orlando and seeking out employment. Well, this young man, in fact, was hired at Ligonier Ministries. I don't remember what his original place of service was. It might have been where I remember him most of all, where he was assigned to assist the woman whose principal job was to organize all the logistics for various Ligonier conferences and seminars around the country. Well, this fresh-faced young kid with his fresh-faced young bride just was really, really fun. He was one of these mischievous guys and liked to play practical jokes might be a little bit too strong, but he was a guy who knew how to have fun in the office. And we would see each other from time to time outside the office. He was a part of my group of breakfast friends. I think I mentioned in an earlier segment on Chuck Maselli. This particular friend, along with Chuck and the friend who introduced me and another friend, we would get together every week for breakfast. No agenda, no curriculum. We just ate breakfast and talked together as Christian men. And that was, again, just part of the fun. This is the kind of young couple. They were obviously a little bit younger than me, but the kind of young couple that would, that you would see socially and enjoy, because he really was a lot of fun. Eventually, he received an opportunity to work for a massive corporation in the Detroit area, one of the big auto manufacturers, and he and his bride, still childless, moved away. And I never saw him again. And I won't see him again until, anyway, I die. I found out, I think late in my relationship with him, that my particular friend was addicted to alcohol, that he would daily guzzle vodka. Looked like water. He carried around in his water glass, and he would drink that. And he was obviously incredibly high functioning alcoholic. And he had seasons of success in fighting that particular demon where he was doing well. But I never knew. I didn't look back and say, oh, this is a time frame when it wasn't going well, and this is a time frame when it was going well. I just didn't know. As far as I knew, most of the time it was going well. Apparently it wasn't. Sometime after the young couple moved up to Detroit, my friend, I don't know why, but he took his life. I don't know if it was related to the struggle that he had with alcohol. I don't know if the alcohol and the suicide were related to some other trauma. I don't know. I do wish that I had maybe spoken with him on a more open and honest level. I wish that maybe I had had opportunity to be a greater friend to him. And I do miss him. I wish he were still around, and I wish I could talk to him. I wish I could enjoy he and his wife's humor. The both of them had a very, very compared to me, young sense of humor. They could be really witty and clever, and I just miss that. And it makes me sad to think that I missed all the sadness that he was going through. Well, this is one more reason why I need to encourage you to contact any old friends of yours that you're able to. Every friend you can't reach should be a nudge to reach the ones that you can. I'm grateful for my friend, and I pray that he will be there when I enter into the fullness of the kingdom of Jesus Christ. It wasn't the first time a wife upstaged her husband, and the results were nearly as disastrous. In Eden, Eve took the lead, conversed with the devil, bit the fruit, and then served it to her husband. By the time the Reformation came around, the bride of Christ, the church, had taken it upon herself to become the mediator between God and man. An institution created to be a help suitable to the second Adam, like a second Eve. The Roman Church, desiring to be like God, affirmed that she was the means by which a man might have peace with God. She held the purse strings to merit, to the means of grace, and to grace itself. Rome fell when she affirmed that she saved the lost. Ever since, the serpent has been slithering through a different tack. Rome made herself to be everything, and the serpent has since made the church to be nothing. Oh, we might be willing to confess that on occasion good things can come through the evangelical church. It is a blessing to hear good preaching. And who doesn't enjoy time with friends? And then there's the church softball league. The church as the church, however, what's that about? Who needs that? I mean, I can download preaching from around the world. I can play rec league instead of church league softball. And I can hang out with the guys from Promise Keepers instead of the guys from church. What am I missing? What we're missing is our mother, the church. She doesn't nurture us from afar. She doesn't feed us through the internet. She can't discipline us when we won't even acknowledge her. Now my heart breaks for those who have made orphans of themselves. I fear for homes led by men who are so intent on leading their families that they refuse to be led by elders, and so lead their own children into rebellion. But what is most frustrating is when those who won't acknowledge our common mother yet insist that they are my brother. If I had a nickel for every story I've heard that begins with, well, my son, or my uncle, father, friend, roommate, doesn't belong to a church, but is a Christian, my nickel collection would be the envy of my neighbors. If I had a dime for every, quote, brother who believes he is owed all the relational goodies of being in the family, but who insists that no one will rule over him, well, all of my nickels would have someone to play with. This friend can't understand why her professing daughter is shacking up with her girlfriend. That other friend wants to leave his church without transferring to another church and still wants to be free to come to the Lord's table. How, friends, can you commune if you've made yourself immune to excommunication? Friends, I know churches can stink up the joint. Rome did, and it didn't stop there. But just how repentant are we when we, by refusing to join a local church, profess, well, I'm a sinner, but not a sinner that might need the grace of discipline. I'm a sinner, but not as bad as all the elders in my town. I'm a sinner, but I'm too good to join that church over there because of their sins. That kind of repentance looks an awful lot like pride. It's true that the work of Christ becomes ours when we, by the power of his Spirit, trust in that work. It's true that the thief on the cross never took a single membership vow. It's true if you trust in him and end up shipwrecked alone, your soul will be safe. But it is also true that on the glorious truth that Jesus is the Son of God, the Son of God has built and is building his church, and the gates of hell will not prevail against it. It is also true that the church is our mother, and our calling is to honor her. Our postmodern, Western, evangelical, low to non-existent ecclesiology isn't a mere mistake. It isn't merely bad systematic theology. It is instead deeply and profoundly dangerous. Love your mother. She bore you.
You've been listening to the Jesus Changes Everything podcast, a production of Dunamis Fellowship, the teaching outreach of Dr. R.C. Sproul Jr. If you've enjoyed this podcast, we encourage you to subscribe, which you can do at all the usual outlets, to tell your friends, and to spread the word. To learn more about the work of Dunamis Fellowship, please visit rcsproulJR.com. And join us next time on Jesus Changes Everything.